My gloved fingers find the lid before my eyes do. Cold tin, the familiar smell of damp metal and old rain. I ease it up, and for a moment I expect the usual, a scrap of paper with a name, a date, a joke someone left to prove they'd been here. Instead, a folded note slides free, edges soft with moss, and the words on it stop the world. I did not mean for it to end this way. The sentence is quiet enough to be mistaken for wind, but it feels like a confession in a place meant for play. Listen closely now. Do you feel that? The forest seems to hold its breath.
I'm Samnang, and this is Nature's Dread. Find somewhere dark, put your headphones on, and stay with me. Tonight's story is called Cache Code. It's about the tiny secret boxes people hide in the wild, and what happens when those boxes stop being trinket holders and start keeping pieces of the truth.
Before the strange part, who hides caches and why? The person who found this note was a volunteer geocacher, someone who walks a named trail because they love maps and quiet codes. On weekends, they check muggle-fenced paths and muddy knees. They reseal containers that squirrels pry open. They replace soggy logbooks with fresh paper. Geocaching runs on a small set of friendly rules. Sign your name, log the find online, leave something if you take something, treat the land with care. That ordinary act, threading a logbook back into a camoed tin under an old root, should have been routine. Instead, the lead sentence in that folded note felt like a foreign language at home.
The first strange event was small enough to be dismissed and large enough to be impossible to ignore. The finder photographed the note and uploaded the image to the cache's log, expecting the usual curiosity. A reply came. One user asked, politely, whether the finder would share the text. No answer. Another user joked about spooky geocaching. But a cold online attention grew. Others pinged nearby caches, and someone else, 2 days later, reported finding a similar folded slip in a metal pill vial hidden beneath a rock. This second note held a date and a fragmentary name and a line that echoed, "I've carried it too long." The community's reactions split between playful horror and an instinct to protect the spaces where strangers hide things from other strangers. Then patterns began to appear. Within a week, caches on a connected route, East Ridge to the old service road, yielded similar slips. Dates clustered across seasons, phrases repeated in different handwriting. Nothing explicit, no direct accusations, but the notes read like fragments of apology or attempted confession. The finds were spread across public trails, some near waterways, others beneath rock overhangs. Mornings that had smelled only of pine and coffee now carried the sharp tang of implication. The geocache maps that are supposed to be playful treasure trails were for a few people, turning into a chain of clues. I reached out to 3 people to try to make sense of what a folded note in a nylon box might mean. A cold case investigator told me, straightforward and careful, that informal evidence can be important, but only if handled with restraint. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, that a paper found in the woods is a lead, not a verdict. That words are a start, not a finish. A digital forensic specialist explained how online logs can carry metadata, timestamps, account history, IP traces, that can help corroborate when a note appeared or who first reported it, but also warned how easy it is to misread what a public log is saying. And a geocaching community moderator urged restraint. The game's ethics emphasize leave no trace, and the community fears both sensationalism and vigilante digging. They asked me to stress repeatedly not to publicize locations or to disturb caches. This is where things change. The finder sat with the folded note for a long time, thumb rubbing the damp corner, weighing options that sound simple on the surface and catastrophic in practice. Do you post the text online and invite crowd sleuthing? Do you call the police and hand over what you found? Or do you reseal the cache and leave the note where the woods put it, preserving the site, but possibly leaving a trail of questions unanswered? Each choice has consequences. Posting could jeopardize evidence or harm someone's privacy. Calling the police could open a case that drags families into pain. Leaving it might be the kinder, quieter option, unless the note points to a crime. The finder chose a middle path. They made a private, anonymized report to a local investigator, and they paused public sharing. That choice changed the nature of the hunt, from a playful online puzzle to a slow, official inquiry.
The climax of this particular evening was not loud. It was a night walk with a headlamp at the edge of the map. 3 caches in a row, each with its own small ecosystem of twigs and tags. My breath fogged in the beam. My steps were careful because a careless foot can crush a clue or a plant we promised not to harm. At the second cache, I unzipped a dry bag and found a folded slip tucked beneath a fake rock. The words were familiar: an apology, a line that could have been sorrow or performance, and the sound around me sharpened: a distant creak, the jangle of the container, a crow that kept its distance. I read the note aloud, slowly, because reading it and repeating it makes it real and accountable. The night tightened like a drum. For a pulse beat, I imagined footsteps, past, not present, and the possibility that these words were the last link someone had to a missing person. The possibility demanded respect, and it demanded procedure. This was not a scene for theatrics. It was a scene for careful, patient work.
Afterwards, after the walk, after the phone calls, after the clumsy rituals of paperwork and private messages, there was fallout. Local law enforcement opened a preliminary inquiry. The geocaching community met online and debated removal, preservation, and the ethics of publicizing details. Families who had known missing loved ones read the redacted summations different ways. Some found hope in any lead. Others bristled at the idea of anonymous notes being treated like answers. The investigator reminded me, again and again, that anonymous, partial notes are often unreliable. Memories reshape themselves. Handwriting is ambiguous. Time erodes context. In a forum thread, one moderator wrote, "We protect the map so it doesn't become a map of grief." That line stayed with me. It's easy to forget how closely play and mourning can sit beside each other along the trail.
And then the last image, a final sting. A week after the official report, a small envelope appeared back in one of the caches, tucked beneath a flat stone where the moss had been scraped clean. Inside, a single unsigned slip. It read simply, "Forgive me, I couldn't say it elsewhere." No name, no date, only the geography of guilt, a line folded into the same weatherproof container that had held more mundane things. The forest kept the rest. The note offered apology, but not explanation, and in that, it felt more honest than a full confession. The night remembers more than we do. Sometimes the land holds fragments of truth and fragments of shame, and it offers them in tiny, weathered packages.
If you're still here, thank you. A few practical things before we go. Do not open, remove, or publicize anything you find that might be evidence. Contact local authorities and local geocaching community coordinators. Many regions have reporting guidelines for suspicious finds. Respect, leave no trace. Do not dig, do not trespass, and do not disturb sensitive sites. Treat anonymous notes as leads, not verdicts. They deserve investigation, not rushes to judgment. And if this episode stirred something for you, questions, memories, or a tip, reach out to professionals, not social feeds. This show will include links in the episode notes to geocaching resources and to guidance on how to report discoveries safely.
I'm Sam Nang. If tonight's story stayed with you, share it with someone who listens in the dark. And subscribe so you never miss an episode that walks the thin line between beauty and dread. If you have a story about something found where it shouldn't be, tell it thoughtfully, respect privacy and the land. Until next time, check the corners.